All right, welcome back to the SGPN Fantasy Football Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, brought to you by Shady Rays. Go to shadyrays.com and use promo code SGPN for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. We're also brought to you by the Golf Gambling Podcast Tailor-Made Stealth 2 Driver Giveaway. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/driver to enter today before the big drawing on April 8th. We're also brought to you by Baseball Money is Fake, our fantasy baseball podcast. Join Blake and Ryan 3 times a week and get the player breakdowns and statistical data that you need to win. Statistical. I'm just really struggling with that word right now. All right, we're on our player profile series. We got the NFL draft coming up very, very soon. And this is one of a lot of people's favorite players, Devon Achane out of Texas A&M. Brad, kind of set the table for me here.
Yeah, hey, look, you got a little bit of an undersized running back from a height perspective, but his BMI is pretty solid. He's 5'9". Actually, the screen says 185. We made these pre-NFL combine. He actually weighed in at 190, so a little bit heavier in the combine, but a guy who, we've talked about wanting to see progression, and we've seen progression from year to year to year. With Devon Achane, we saw 43 attempts for 364 yards and 4 touchdowns in 2020. In 2021, he over tripled his attempts with 130 attempts for 910 yards and 9 touchdowns. And then last season in 2022 had 196 attempts for 1,102 yards and 8 touchdowns. Not to mention the fact we saw 3 years worth of progression in the receiving game. 5 catches for 97 yards in 2020, 24 catches for 261 yards in 2021, and 36 catches for 196 yards in 2022. So, Dave, give us 3 of your pros, 3 of your cons, and a player comp for Devon Achane.
Yeah, and so the first one we have on here is the speed and quickness. This guy's got next level speed, and you can see that when he gets out to the edges where he's using the receiving game. And I think he's a special receiver. There's kind of 3 groups when you're looking at running backs as far as the receivers. There's running backs that can go out and run routes. There's running backs that can catch the dump off and not drop it. And then there's running backs that can't catch. You're kind of your Damian Harris kind of players. He is definitely closer to the first tier than he is the second tier. When he's out in space, away from the quarterback, he can catch the ball, whether he's going out on a wheel route, whether he's lined up out in the slot, doing screen plays, bubble screens, all those kinds of things. And once he gets the ball in his hands, he is dangerous. And you see that. And I asked him at the combine, I had the chance to speak to him. I said, "Are you the best receiver in this class?" And he said, "It's not a question. Of course. Of course." And on tape, it's pretty evident. If it's not, Jahmyr Gibbs, it's him. I'd say he's number 2. But he's definitely up there. And when you're looking at, his patience and vision, he does have that, for a smaller guy that definitely wants to work his way to the outside as soon as possible. He does show the ability to wait for the play to develop and allow his, the big uglies to get in front of him. And elusive, absolutely. When you're looking at this guy, you think, every arm tackle is going to bring him down. That's not really the case. He's tied for 21st with 15+ yard runs. As far as PFF missed tackles forced, he was 53, which is 31st in the country. And then yards after contact, for a smaller guy, 25th. So it's not, top 10, top 5, but still very reasonable for a guy of this size, being able to break tackles and to create almost 800 yards. There's some players that didn't have 800 yards, period. And he had almost 800 yards after contact, and that's combined rushing and receiving, I believe. When you're looking at some of the cons, obvious size. There's not many backs that have had have fantasy football production at this size. 5'9", 185 pounds. He looks like a wide receiver in 2023. He's not big. He's not tall. And that's where it shows up in the pass blocking. I put Javid Best on here as my player comp. I don't know if anyone remembers who he was. But man, this guy he only played probably 4 or 5 games, but he was explosive. They will not use him like that. that didn't work out, and we know why. But if this guy can get, an Alvin Kamara or an Aaron Jones type of 12 to 15 touches, 3 or 4 of those, maybe 5 of those are catches per game, if he's used in that way, you can find a way for him to have some success. If you see him go to a place like Denver, that would be a very exciting place for him to go. We've seen Sean Payton give his running backs 100 targets. If you see him going somewhere, you see him go to Las Vegas, you better sell your Josh Jacobs shares, because that would be, a James White, Shane Vereen type of performance.
One of the places I really liked for him was Washington, because I think they're looking to get out of Antonio Gibson. It's pretty clear to me that they're not interested in paying him. And to be able to pair the skill set that Devon Achane has with Brian Robinson, now that's two polar opposite skill sets. And I think that's where Devon Achane can really kind of excel at that pass catching role and really be an explosive addition to that offense.
Yeah, he's going to be a weapon in the passing game, and it will be an outlier as far as fantasy production due to the weight. James Cook had 85. He had 85 points last year, and it was the 11th best season for 190-pound or less running backs. I think 6 out of the top 10 were Darren Sproles. One of those was Tariq Cohen, and there's another tiny running back that I'm forgetting at this point, but Danny Woodhead was above 190 pounds. So if you have any guesses, let us know. But when it comes down to it, this guy is going to be a weapon on the field. I think he's going to be a great NFL player. I am not as high on him as far as my running back rankings because of the size and because of how much of an outlier he is going to be. I just don't know if he's going to get the volume to be a consistent fantasy performer. He might be someone that's great in your best ball, has some blow-up games and things like that, but follow the volume, follow the opportunities is what I like to see. And, if this guy's on the field for 25% of the snaps or less, and he's only getting 8 touches a game, it's going to be very hard for him to be a startable asset on your fantasy team. That being said, I did a running back draft this morning. I did a rookie running back draft, running backs only, and he was the 4th pick in the draft. It went Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Zach Charbonnet, and then Achane. So,
and that's what we saw in our mocks that we did for 101 through 112, right? He was coming off in the early second and super flex drafts, and I've got him as a 3rd round. Like my rank, I'll very likely have no shares of Devon Achane because I've got him at number 31 in rookie rankings right now. So that's super flex rookie rankings. So that's a 3rd round pick, an early 3rd, mid 3rd round pick, really, for me. So, when you see him coming off the board 203, 204, like that's a lot of projection there that it's, I'm not sure where you have him, Dave, but I've got him behind guys like, let's see, I've got him behind Eric Gray, Sean Tucker, Tank Bigsby, like that, Kendre Miller, those guys. So,
yeah, I think I have him in the double digits. I think he's at 12 or 11. I'm pretty far off on him, and I get it. Like, I'm an outlier because a lot of people really like him, and so I'm okay with that. And if I'm wrong, that's fine. I will say this, as far as the weight, I feel like the combine weights are very hard to believe right now. You see guys that show up and they are, they balloon for the combine. I just don't like
drink a gallon of water before weigh-ins.
Yeah, a gallon of water weighs 7 pounds. So if you how many of those gallons do you think Bryce Young drank before he weighed in?
At least 5 or 6.
At least 5 or 6. So you're looking at somebody that PFF has him as 185 pounds as well. PFF has his player comp as CJ Spiller, and they have him projected to be a 3rd round pick. And so I can get behind a 3rd round pick. Speed kills, and it's a skill that you cannot teach. You can teach someone to carry the ball and be, you can teach them to be a better pass blocker. You can teach them how to have better, ball control. You can teach them how to do some of these things. You can't teach them how to be faster. And this guy is lightning in a bottle. And so I do think he's going to be on the field quickly. And, there's in the third round, there's like 45 picks. I think he'll make it somewhere in that fourth round. Maybe it's in the compensatory section. Maybe it's in the middle. But a team that is looking to add some juice to their offense would be him. And I know we talked about some other like areas of like where he would be. Jerick McKinnon in Kansas City is one of the best pass blocking running backs at his size, which is not much bigger than Achane. Him going to Kansas City to fill that role with McKinnon, maybe not good for year one, but might be good for his career. That would be very interesting.
I might be interested in him at the Browns. That'd be an interesting spot for him. Is Jerome Ford going to be the pass catcher there? Not to get into Browns talk, but there are a lot of spots that have that primary running back that can use a player like Devon Achane. It's just a matter of whether or not he's going to get the volume that makes him worth an early second-round draft pick in rookie drafts.
100%. All right. Well, hey, let's check in with Underdog, and then we're going to get out of here.
Yeah, absolutely. We are brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy is a great place to get down on fantasy and player props all year long. Underdog Fantasy has your favorite NBA, NHL, and Major League Baseball daily games. Plus, they're already doing their best ball drafts for the 2023 NFL season. So head over to UnderdogFantasy.com and use promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus of up to $100. Again, that's UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code SGPN.
All right. Well, as always, good luck this season.
Cheers.